Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Extra Point Intersection. And we here to talk about it on the wrap up.
Yes.
Starting out week 3 with a barn burner, with a comeback victory, all the way in Vegas with the Sea Dragons versus the Vipers. It started out. I ain't gonna lie, I'm the Sea Dragons fan. I thought it was a little ugly for us. Because Hundley came out there, started the game for him. He led them in passing and rushing. Hundley had 224 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and one rushing touchdown with 8 rushes for 66 yards. Led them in rushing as well as passing. So he was out there balling. Baggett had 4 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown for Las Vegas. But they could not surmount the power of Ben Nucci.
Whoop. That was a beautiful thing. Are we changing
Nucci.
Du-du-du-du-du.
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. He was 29 of 37 for 377 yards, 4 touchdowns. Then we also had Allison. He was balling, running like a mad child. 17 rushes for 103 yards. I wish he would have gotten in the end zone, but he didn't get in that end zone last night. But he was balling. Josh Gordon came up big. 6 catches, 118 yards, 2 tutties, and none bigger than the one that sealed the deal with the 65 yarder. It was like that play was like throwing it to a grown man playing against little kids. You're like, okay, I'll catch it. Oh, you want me backpedal about 3 steps? Oh, I take 2 steps to the right. I'm just gonna walk in the end zone. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The Sea Dragons get their first victory of the year. Let's go. What was the next game of the night?
Oh, I
Well,
just want to.
that was
I
the
just
only
want to.
game of the
I
night.
just want to talk about this really quick. I think the game was fantastic, but I do want to say that I feel like it was the first time we actually saw the Sea Dragons play a little bit more aggressively throughout the whole game instead of just at the beginning, right? Because
True.
Danucci normally by like second half, he's like, okay, I'm the guy. I'm that guy. We were talking about how he thought he was that guy.
Too confident.
Do you think he's humbled down now? Or do you
Nah,
think we're going to continue to see him try to be
nah.
that guy?
That saucy Ben Nucci.
Danucci.
I'm telling you, he's gonna bring that sauce in that flavor. He's gonna be arrogant.
Mm,
Nucci. That's Jerry Jones' grandson.
no, it's not.
He's really not. But Jerry
Okay,
Jones'
please don't make me sick
grandson.
like that.
But yeah, the next game we do have
Was
was
this
against St. Louis Battlehawks versus the DC Defenders.
So, before we even go over this game, I want to say how happy I was to hear that Beer Snake was
Mm-hmm.
back. Okay? And I don't know if you guys knew what the rules for Beer Snake were, but it was insane that they were able to pitch it to be able to bring Beer Snake back. So, the Beer Snake Code of Conduct was for the safety of all fans. The beer snake will be permitted in sections 136 and 137, contingent on fans following the game day code of conduct. That means no cups may be thrown from within the section or from outside the section to join the beer snake. All cups must be passed to location of the beer snake to be added, or you may provide your cups to a defender's representative who will bring the cups to beer snake. Only empty cups can be added to Beer Snake, and any throwing of cups or projectile objects within the seated area or onto the field of play are grounds for ejection. And the cups from the Beer Snake must be properly disposed of in a stadium receptacle at the conclusion of the game. Please drink responsibly. And did you see how big that Beer Snake got?
Yeah, my only question for that: who is gonna take that big ass bear snake to the trash can?
The fans probably. I'm sure they all because
They're
it
gonna break
was
it down. Not one person's gonna carry that big
well,
ass
no,
bear
but I'm
snake.
sure that everybody that was in that section that partook and everything to
I
get
know if I
Beer
put my
Snake
my
back.
my my beer cup in there, I'm not taking nothing to the trash.
I'm just
That's just me.
saying. I feel like they worked really hard to get Beer Snake back. So I feel like they took it a little bit more responsibly until we saw, another Lemon Gate
Is that like the
happen.
smelt it dumped the rule? The last one to touch it got to throw it away.
I don't think it worked like that because of how big Beer Snake was. It was draped over people's shoulders and
I'm
all of
like,
that.
yo,
So I don't think it worked like that. But I was
what if
excited to see
kids
Beer
are in
Snake back.
137?
Hmm.
You gonna pour old beer on kids' heads while you throwing the beer
Of
snake?
course, that's the best way to do it, right?
Kid gonna go to school tomorrow. They ain't wash their hair good, smelling like beer.
Oh my goodness. All right, so if you want to go ahead and talk about that game, what
Yeah,
you thought
off to
about
the
it.
next game. The
Well,
Seattle Battlehawks versus the DC Defenders. This was another good game. All the games this week was within one possession of the XFL rules, which is pretty good. This has by far been the highest scoring game of the season.
hmm
We had AJ McCarron against Jordan Tamu. McCarron for the Battlehawks fell short, but still racked up 262 yards and 4 touchdowns, while we had Hill rush the ball for 12 times for 32 yards. Butler had 9 receptions, 105 yards, and a tutty. Jordan Tamu didn't look as crispy, was 11 of 20 for 196 yards and 1 touchdown. Smith had 16 rushes for 54 yards, and Jackson with 4 receptions and 89 yards to lead the DC Defenders. Now, with this game right here, it really boiled down to the nitty gritty defense of the DC Defenders. My guy called it before the game. He said, and as soon as I'm talking about this, right there on the screen, he
yeah, there
said,
you go.
I'm gonna wait until they make a mistake and I'm going to get an interception. And this week, he's racked up his third interception, which I think leads the lead. He has
Mm,
2 of those interceptions returned for touchdowns. He's an interception magnet, ladies and gentlemen.
he
Like,
is.
hey, DC, they really looking like a problem. And to be honest, they might be on the top of my power rankings.
You think DC? Yeah, I think so. After this week, DC is definitely above the Roughnecks for me. I'm gonna have to say because the Roughnecks struggled a little bit, but we'll get to that when we get there.
Yeah, they really did.
And it
They
was really
really.
interesting to see these two teams because these are the teams that we consider to be our second half teams, right?
Oh,
These are the teams
let's
that
not
always
let's
bring it.
let's not take away that DeLuca from the Battlehawks had 7 tackles
Mm-hmm.
for the Battlehawks, and leading the way for DC was Neil with 8. So they getting tackles out this joint. And these are DBs out here tackling. Like you expect linebackers to be leading the way.
Now, this was the game where where Deuce was talking about how they should be allowed to fight because wasn't this the game where they broke out into a fight or was that the Orlando
The
game?
Guardians and Renegades at the end of the game.
Oh, that was it. I thought this game had a fight in it too.
Was it?
Yeah, because
It
it's
could have been.
always the Battlehawks. It's always the Battlehawks that are always fighting. And I remember saying that because they're the ones that kick the other players in the face that first week. Do you
Yeah,
remember
they
that
did do that.
right? But it's always this game, or always the Battlehawks that are always like the worst ones. Even the
That
coaches were getting into it. But I do
I'm gonna say
agree.
they image of their coaching, which they need to learn sportsmanship. And if they really want a true statement and really make it to the next level, which is the NFL, for them, they're gonna have to learn sportsmanship. Because if you lose, you can't get mad and throw a temper tantrum. You know what I'm saying? That's what we teach our eighth graders and shit.
I
You
get it,
can't do that.
and I can agree with that. But at the same time, Deuce made a point earlier that, and I know he wants it clipped, and I know he's working on clipping it. They should have something kind of like the the hockey league, where they can, if both of them are okay with duking it out for 30 seconds, let them get that aggression out,
Yeah,
right? That 30 seconds, and then guess what? You're
It's
done.
over with, done with.
And then
Yeah.
nobody else can jump in and it stops it from becoming a full on riot, which I understood. Like, once you explain it like that, I understand and I can agree with that. I think that, it should be, because look at all of the other fights that have happened. Like, if we did a clip of all of the fights that have happened in the season so far, it's ridiculous. That was my last stance on
Yeah.
that. Anyways,
That's all good. TJ, you got anything on that?
Nope.
Nope.
TJ is working on his homework, and we are very blessed to have him
All right,
spend
Get
time
next we
with
out.
us
got
right now.
Get out.
the Orlando Guardians. Go Go Gadget
The
Guardians
Go Go Gadget Guardians, listen, their
versus
games
the
are always
Arlington
fun.
Renegades. A lot of say this game was very boring because of the scoring output. But if it wasn't for the turnovers of the Guardians, this game could have looked a whole lot different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's see, what did they? How many turnovers they had? Three turnovers, all fumbles, no interceptions. They led in they led in offense the whole game. They led in possession. It's these turnovers. They've consistently shot themselves in the foot for the third week in a row, if it being penalties or turnovers. Paxton Lynch looked way more. He looked way better this year. I mean, this week with
Mm-hmm.
19 of 31 for 219 yards and 10 rushes for 43 yards and a touchdown. With Lattimore with 6 catches and 66 yards. Kyle Slaughter, on the other hand, 18 of 23 for 124 yards and a touchdown pass. And we had Smith rush the ball 18 times for 49 yards, and Vaughns with 5 catches, 39 yards, and a tutty. This game was very defensive. The leading tacklers of this game for let's go with the Guardians first. Guardians had Smith with 9 tackles, Lee with 7. That's their leading two tacklers. The Renegades was led by Hill with 10 and Sankey with 8. These guys is out here tackling the ball, and both teams are led by DBs. It's like the DBs are the tacklers of this league. Final score was 9-10, by far the lowest scoring game of the season.
I do have to say, though, I was super proud of the Orlando Guardians for being somebody that is
Yeah,
on.
they just gotta stop shooting themselves in the foot.
I agree with that, but I can say they did they did very well this game. As far as how they've played in previous games, I think they've done a lot better. I think
Deuce,
that
Deuce would have been mad if I would have said just defensively. But defensively,
I mean, even if you look at like the team stats on the screen, right? You look at the team stats and it has like the blue and it has the green. The green overpowers the blue in a lot of things, you know?
yeah. But just say you got to get 100 yards, right? You drive 99 yards and then you turn the ball over.
I get it. I get it. And they both teams have a lot to work on.
Oh
But
yeah, they definitely do. The Renegades are by far my lowest ranked 2-1 team.
yes. Yes. Very
They
true.
look very weak against them Guardians.
They very, very much did. And I really don't feel like their first win was a good win either. Was it? Like, I feel who were
And if the Guardians didn't shoot themselves in the foot,
exactly. They would have been so good.
yeah,
You know?
because that fumble by Barton, he got popped from the blind side. The running back, you're supposed to hold that ball. You got held to what 9 carries or 7 carries, excuse me, 9 yards. That oh man, you was number 4 in the league before this game. So oh man, you let Paxton Lynch come out there and I'll rush you.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes to show you can't win the game and fuck up on turnovers.
You cannot.
And you gotta put them points on the board.
Yep.
I,
Like
didn't
this.
they have a 4th and 1 when they really could have tried a field goal?
I think so. I think that was the last thing too. It was just. I think once this goes back to the same thing that we were talking about earlier. Once they start getting a certain, their head blows up a certain way, they start thinking about it. They just start blowing up their little egos. And you guys aren't there to be egotistical yet.
Yeah, true. Man, can we get to this
Oh.
mismatch of quarterback matchup from the Brahmas and the Roughnecks?
Oh my gosh.
I'm not trying to be funny, but Cone needs to be sat down next week.
Bro, I was so upset with him.
He was 8 of 20 for 64 yards
This game was
and a
so
touchdown.
heartbreaking to me because there were so many chances where we could have gotten ahead, and the way that the Roughnecks were playing, I really like the the very last 4 minutes of the game. We could have gotten ahead. There was
Yeah,
no
because the
reason we
Roughnecks
turned
came out
over.
second half soft.
I just
Second half they was soft.
They were, and I was so upset with like come out with the same energy that you did the first half. That look at that very first touchdown. Did you see how they? You were super pumped. You guys were super excited, and then you guys were just kind of like, "Yeah, we did that,
Yeah, but
bro."
then after that, your quarterback goes in the
Downhill,
shit.
and then we
Yeah,
started noticing his eyes.
yeah.
Um,
He couldn't see where he was throwing.
right, like let you guys need to understand where you're going. Number one, where you're throwing the
And bro,
ball.
y'all had three running backs that was averaging at least 5 yards rushing per carry.
Right.
Why still throw the ball 20 times with Cone when he only completed 8 of them?
Well, and that was the right. Remember
And
that
they were
one play
deep.
where he threw it to the ground like it was a fucking four corner ball? He was bam, and it just went up into the air. What were you doing?
Yeah, yeah. Brandon Silvers, on the other hand, Baby John Silvers, I
Oh my
like to call him
god.
Baby John Silvers.
They played
24,
so amazing.
24 of 35 for 278 yards, three tutties. Max
Man.
Borghi, baby Christian McCaffrey, 15 attempts on the rush, 74 yards on the ground. Kirkland
Oh my god, that man.
had a
I was so
monster
upset.
first half. First half, he had 6 catches, 77 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Second half, 0 catches, 0 yards.
Which is so upsetting. He was doing so well. We were talking about how we thought he was going to get to 150, and then what happened?
Hey, but at least Alizé Mack had 3 catches,
Oh, yes, he did.
27 yards.
We learned how to say his name too. I was very happy.
Alizé, yeah. Ballage with 10 rushes for 35 yards.
Hmm.
Y'all really should have kept the ball on the ground and stopped trying to put it in Cone's hand.
We should have. Well, and tell me how we didn't have a return. Like when they punted the ball the last time, we didn't even have somebody
Yeah,
returning it. What was going
returning looked
on?
good by who was that? Roberson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Roberson looked real good in the return game. No, that was Johnson.
Was it Johnson?
Yeah, number 10
Oh,
Johnson. Yeah,
yeah, that's
he
so
had the
weird. The way
59
that
yard
he spells
return.
Johnson, so weird to me. But okay.
Yeah, y'all was led by Adewuse with 8 tackles and Williams with 7. Let's see what the Roughnecks was led with on defense. They had let's see, defense. Beckett had 6 and Ellerby had 5. This is the first team being the Roughnecks that have been led by tackles by linebackers. All the other teams were led by defensive backs, being
Hmm.
cornerbacks and safeties. So that means they linebackers is flying to the ball. Which
Hmm.
Beckett is, I call him Baby Makai Parks. He number 11 too. And he be flying out there, some gun. Jerry Jones get that man a look. I like to see
You
him
stop
in my.
it. You stop it right now.
No,
Oh,
I'm serious. I like that. I like the way Beckett plays.
we also have to also just put it out here because I love my husband to death. I love him to death. But when you have a whole entire Eagles player out there watching the game, and Slay says that he's a Roughnecks fan,
Yeah, he said he was fucking with the receiver Kirkland. He
yep.
said, "I am a fan."
He said, I am a fan, and he's like, I can't wait for some of these guys to get picked up.
I could see Kirkland playing on Sundays if he played like he did in the first half.
Mm hmm. I could.
So this week we have our most points put up, and then that record was broke 2 games in a row. And that was off the first 2 games. That was off the Seattle Sea Dragons and the Vipers game, and then defenders came right back and smacked that across the forehead.
And there's
Like, get
two,
out of here.
isn't there two um, teams that have the most interceptions now?
What I can't hear you.
That have three interceptions per person. I
I
think
know
there's
the
two people.
DC defenders have a defensive back with 3. I have
And then the
to.
Roughnecks had one too. That just
Yeah,
happened
yeah,
this
yeah,
game.
yeah. So yeah, the top 2 defenses in the league, to be funny and not to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
have a defensive back that's leading with tackles and have lead leaders in interceptions.
It was crazy. I was super
Makai
happy.
Beckett. I think I keep calling Makai Beckett because he should be on the field with Makai Parsons. I'm just gonna keep saying that. Beckett is leading. I think the Roughnecks in tackles, and he just flies around the field like he's super fast for a linebacker. And he's very sweet. Like other than that, I guess it was a short, sweet, and simple wrap up this week.
It sure was. I do want to say the games are very very amazing. I'm super excited about it. I love all of the different aspects of the game. We love Dean Blandino and all of his hard work with being, the officiant of everything. Um and yeah, we appreciate you guys coming in.
Yeah, so you tag a friend, tell them tag a friend, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the alarm notification so you get our live notifications when we live. Other than that, we love y'all. Have a good night
Bye
and keep
bye.
that shit extreme, man.